Good night. Good night. Good night. Good night to those who are now joining. Good evening and good night to you. I want to welcome all those who are joining the GMS Live via the GMS Live uh, Radio Guyana or the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. I want to say that it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure to come and to sit before you at these times of the evening and to welcome you all to this wonderful show that normally comes alive every particular time. Now, I want to discuss this evening on a topic that is very much distracting. So before I start, I must say good night to you from Guyana to the Caribbean Isles, the West Indian Isles, the Pacific Virgin Isles, the U.S. Virgin Isles, the U- the UK Virgin Isles, the I'm talking about Mexico. Those who are joining me from Mexico, those who are joining me from the US, Canada, the UK, EU, China, Beijing, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan, the Korean Peninsula, places from as far as India and Pakistan and Uzbekistan, Australia, the Australian continent, to those who are joining from the New Zealand Isles and the Tonga Isles, from the African continent, from the South American continent, as far as from Chile and Argentina and Venezuela, Colombia, Brazil, Suriname, French and Dutch Guiana, the Netherlands, the sorry, places from like Trinidad and Tobago who would love to be shouted out at particular times, as Curacao and the Republic of Barbados. Welcome you all this evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dr. Matthews is live on the GMS Live Radio Guyana, where I'm broadcasting live there. And I'm also live here on this live stream from Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at the same time. I want to welcome you all. We're having some serious problems in this country. And one of the serious problems we're having in this country, it appears to be that it's mismanagement, but I still see it as ethnic cleansing. Because some people may say, oh, Dr. Matthews, you got to watch what you say. But this is the thing. A conversation hit the social media today where you had four individuals. And those four individuals are well known to us, especially at this time. And one of them is our de facto Prime Minister, Mr. Phillips. And he had three people there, and two that I recognized. One is Mr. Nascimento, and the other one is the person in question whose character is always questionable, the Govaya people. Now, here was the problem with that conversation that I heard today. Now, if you are in charge of a task force, Mr. Phillips, and that task force that you're in charge of is to make sure that if one is granted permission If one is granted permission, excuse a little clearing of the throat. If one is granted permission by the COVID 19 task force that you're in charge of, and that task force has a board which comprise you and all the other individuals that sat on that same particular conversation that was in the social media by credible sources. When I thought Jack Dio had it all going when he was in the opposition view, now they got it all going when they're now claiming to be in the government position. If you are in charge of that task force and you grant Mr. John permission to hold a wedding reception, and you say, Mr. John, you're only allowed to have 30 people at this wedding reception, and 30,000 people turned up, who is to be blamed? Really, for that 30,000 people that turned up? Let's say, Mr. John is supposed to be blamed. How can Mr. John control 30,000 people? What are your position as a COVID-19 task force? When you grant permission, you make sure the permission is granted. That's one. Number two, when the event is being held, to make sure that persons are being put there, that event holds only 30 persons. If persons are not being put there, then you must have somebody who can check that location. That is your permission. That is your position as a COVID task force. It's not what God Matthews say or hear say. It is what is written. Mr. Mark Phillips, you can't blame the organizers. The organizers are PPP. How you gonna blame them? You gotta blame yourself. To those who know, to those who doesn't know what I'm talking about and now joining in, share the live. It's going live stream. It's on the GMS Live Radio Guyana also too. And I want you to understand what is being said here tonight. It is the exact thing as what is being said all the time. The de facto administration, along with the fourth grade prime minister that we have, who is being reduced even more, who is in charge of a COVID task force, granted permission over the holiday weekend between the 31st and the 1st of January, the 31st of December and the 1st of January, to Kashif and Shanghai promotion futsal event. They granted that permission. What happened is that Linden, in where the function was kept, became ground zero for the Omicron disaster that is happening in Guyana right now. And I'm going to tell you why. This is the part they ain't talking, but I can tell you why. Now, over 5,000 people turned up. First, at the Juvert that they had at Shanghai's place. 5,000. Over 5,000 people turn up. How can you control a crowd of 5,000 people? I really want y'all to tell me, How can the organizers, remember the organizers is done PVP, they want money, the Brooks, they didn't get money for the longest while. It's now they start getting money from was it Statement Contracting Company. Now they start getting money. So the Brock, they ain't got money for get right now. So as a matter of fact, they broke, but now they start getting money. How can they control a crowd of 5,000 people to tell them, you could imagine that area that the event was held, that you got to stay 6 feet apart. That's one. Number two, the day of the futsal event, you got more than 5,000 to again. Turn up. It was nice. And here was the problem now. Majority of the persons that attended that function were public servants. A lot of them were teachers. A lot of them were nurses. A lot of them were police, law enforcement officers who were there. A lot of them were paramilitary. Well, you don't know. It both ways between Ghana Defense Force and police who were off duty went there to have a nice time. Because Kashif and Shanghai in full swing. Not only that, they're running away from the sponsored event by the government of Guyana. Mark Phillipson want you know that. But Kit Nastimento already said in that conversation that it was promoted by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Sorry, not the ministry, the minister, Mr. Charles Ramson Jr. It was promoted by him in the press, in the media. So it was a government function because Charles Ramson Jr., who is the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, represents the government, the de facto administration of the day. That is his position. Nobody gonna lie, Nascimento ain't lying. And the Gavaya jump up, well, no, it wasn't a government function. Well, you need to explain. Because it's either Charles Ramson lying or somebody lying. So Linden became the ground zero, the epidemic of the widespread of that function of the Kashif and Shanghai function of the Omicron, because lots of teachers, nurses, law enforcement, a lot of public servants went up there and they rubbed themselves together. And who ain't catch the Omicron? Catch it on the way down or catch it on the way up? Or they catch it in the particular venue that it was held. So what you see happen there, it was an intentional activity so we can have more ethnic cleansing. Come, y'all, come together. We got nice sport going on. It's New Year's. We can rock it out. We can enjoy ourselves. That is what happened. So what happened after that? Lots of teachers went to school because school reopened on the 3rd of January, which was Monday. The event was Saturday into Sunday morning. So the Omicron fresh. All who get the sneeze and who rub and who enjoy themselves. It fresh out of the box. Nice open gift. Teachers went to school the next day. Police went to school the next day. Police went to work the next day. Public servants went to work the next day. So what you think happened? A lot of people infected a lot of people's children. A lot of people went to work and infected a lot of workers, workmates like themselves. So what is happening now? The entire public sector is suffering a shortages because their staffs are now ending up with the suspected Omicron virus. Teachers went to school on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. On the 7th, you had 7 days. Sorry, 5 days in giving we picnic the Omicron. So the children now take it from them, bring it home to us, infect the household. Now they got a call for find out if your child went to school on the day when the teacher came down with the illness of the virus. Now the whole entire house got to be tested. This what's going on right now. The whole entire house got to be tested. And the task force is not equipped enough to find out the child's name, which class the child attend, which teacher came in contact to which person. Nobody's saying anything because nothing is being said. Nobody has a clue what is going on. So I'm letting you know straight up. Now we have a natural disaster at hand. Between the 31st of December to the 1st into the 7th of January, you had over 6,000 positive cases 1 week. You have over 6,000 positive cases, the largest in Guyana's history, in 1 week. And you know what, at the end of the day, they know you like to party. They know you like the entertainment. So they know you're going to mix up. And it is better for them because that's how they're going to gain the money. It's an ethnic cleansing. I don't care who look at it, in which way or the other. I'm hoping that the little child that support and sponsor this event at the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, that little child, takes responsibility because he was the one that makes sure to come out and let the people know that it was a sponsored event by the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, which is the government. It is a government sponsored event. So the government intentionally decided to bring all of them together who like to party and sport and drink the alcohol and who feeling nice. So y'all could collect the Omicron or whichever virus you collect that are attached to the COVID-19 and infect a whole heap of people in Region 4 alone. Region 4, Region 3, Region 10. These are regions that are heavily populated of people of African origin, Chinese. This is the entertainment region. Region 4, Region 3, Region 10. Some parts of Region 7 and some parts of Region 5. That's what is going on in our country. So we can bring them together. We like to sport. We want to understand. We feeling nice. We got time with politics and the COVID. Y'all come and enjoy yourself. The base from the house. The little boy in charge. I ain't hearing him out yet. All I'm hearing is that they put the chief house slave to sit down and to open him out and talking about blaming organizers. You can't blame the organizers, you gotta blame yourself. You were the person who gave the permission for the PPP because that's what Kashif and Shanghai is. The PPP. They're an arm of the PPP. You gave permission for your own party to carry Guyanese or let Guyanese carry themselves up to London willingly for a mass ethnic cleansing because we can carry them up there, they make a sense. Party, the guy in a party, the guy in a sport, the guy in enjoy himself. Oh yes, so we go and swing. We're drinking 78 cases of beer and there's 78 cases of Guinness. We ain't gonna feel nice. You know, come one, come all. Death is sharing. And you know that they're gonna left the house. They're gonna well dressed. You can imagine you're going up there, you ain't even got accommodation. People joining people at people's house and friends and family just because of that particular occasion. And boop, a very nice place for a hot spot. Ground zero of the Omicron. Or whatever it name. I wonder if I'm pronouncing the name right. Because people are now coming down with being positive after taking the tests of the covert. Because as now I understand in COVID-19 now, the virus got many different terms now you got X because it keeps mutating all the time. What do you think happened there? The Omicron virus would have been spread throughout that same particular activity. That the heat that was there in that particular area would have mutated in it now to next. That can be the next name for the virus, next. Because it's gonna be Omicron no more. It don't mutate, it gets stronger. Everybody come down with the flu symptoms or some unwanted symptoms. And you turn up now to take your PCR test because you're feeling unwell. You're scared. It's not a feeling that you're accustomed to. You go to work. The boss man say, well, boy, you gotta go and take a test because I can't allow you for the day, so. Boop, you come down positive. You don't want to talk to the boss man, you want to talk to all your colleagues, so all of them gotta go and take a test. Because why? The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture promoted an event that would have been an out of a disaster in this country. Nobody want to talk? But you know, Kevin Matthews, me mouth ripped. I don't have time with nobody. This is not a time for sit down and pet these boys. These boys are promoting ethnic cleansing in this place. Because people are now turning up. What you think will happen when your immune system strong? It can crash. Eventually that's it. The bucket don't fall along the stairs. And nobody cares. Because the government ain't gonna be responsible for you. You done there already. The first thing they can tell you, why go into an event that you can't, as a matter of fact, you can't even take them to court. You can't even take them to court. Because there's no law specifically saying that you gotta take them to court. That's why when you go take the vaccine, you take it on your own risks. Because when you take it and you stretch off, you can't carry them to court. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Can you imagine an event like this caused so many persons to be infected across this nation? You could imagine your son or daughter went to school. Let me take some time see if I can answer this call that is coming in. Pleasant good evening to you. You're on to the GMS Live Radio Guyana and the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Go ahead.
A pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Matthews, and your listening and viewing audience.
Mm.
First of all, let me commend you by putting it in the right perspective. First of all, I would like to say hats off to you who has been keen in explaining directly to the Guyanese people, in particularly the Afro-Guyanese people in this country who has absolutely no regards for life. But let me be frank. The reason why, and you have explained it well, why they have encouraged, the Ministry of Culture have encouraged and endorsed such entertainment that would lead people and a particular group of people to be assembled to enjoy themselves in whatever form or fashion at that event is primarily to kill black people off. Now, I was saying all along, I spoke to some group of friends and family about the same thing you have said. This government is clearly showing their true colors in ethnic cleansing, and they're using COVID as a method to do their biddings. Bear in mind, it is not their own biddings that they're doing. They're doing the biddings of the Donald Trump administration. Because when we had elections in this country here, unfortunately COVID arrived. And when COVID arrived, this was one of the elements that both the international, which means the Donald Trump administration, and this regime, this de facto regime, had planned all along to stage a violent attack upon it, a group of people in particularly. They don't care if their own kind, some of their own kind got caught in the net, but in particularly the black race, because they know that everything in Knock, the black people like to go to the heels of those drums and those tinning cups. Now they were forcing these vaccines upon people, which it is undemocratic and it's unconstitutional to force somebody to have a vaccine. And when they realized that they had strongly were put up with a resistance, that many people were not forced, were not going to have it, they sit at the wrong table and come with another form to attack black people. Now you know what's going to happen? As you rightfully said, the virus is being mutating and it's been spreading out of hand. And now they're going to come up with a good reason to say, okay, if the disease is infectious at an alarming rate in our society, it means that they have no option but to pass a law to ensure that you and I and our children are going to be vaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mr. Matthews, I know I've been taking up a lot of time. A lot of people want to call him, but I'm going to leave you with. It is time that black people in this country wake up. And if they don't wake up, they will lie down and they will not get get a chance to ever to wake up again. I mean, not only the parents, the children as well, black people in the whole. Now look, if you go to the market, this is another strategy this de facto administration is launching on its people, on a particular group of people. Subsequently, a lot of Guyanese and of all ethnicities are facing this brazen attack that they are launching on us. When last you went to the market and observed the prices for local produce in this country, Mr. Matthews?
Well,
You know,
the first thing to improve poverty in any country is to get rid of their produce, their food security, and that's what is happening. Their own food security gonna be expensive. Hmm.
once local produce has been skyrocketed, it means that very few families in this country here
Can
can
afford it.
afford to purchase
Yeah,
food.
yeah.
Now that is a crisis that we are in because
Hmm.
look, a commodity like plantain, which is locally grown here, for ever since we've grown
It's three
the
hundred
womb
dollars a pound.
ourselves, it was one of the cheapest product that any family or any person in this country could have purchased. It was so affordable. Now that same product, which is plantain, has skyrocketed from $40 and as much as $50 per pound since 2019 or 2020. Now it has gone to $300 per pound.
Well,
Mr. Matthews, some people used to call them Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum, but let me leave you by saying this. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum made a statement in this country here, and people of many of the people never knew or never understand what he meant. It was a simple statement, but with a broad spectrum. He said, "Produce or perish," and it means that if you don't find time to observe your local produce in your country, it means that you will be heavily dependent upon the foreign produce. And the
yes.
foreign produce is no good. And it will do our body and our economy any good. Mr. Matthews, thanks for having me. You're doing a pretty good job. This is a fight and this is a struggle. Black people need to open their eyes.
Thank you very much for calling. Uh-huh. Now, as okay, I think somebody else was calling there. Okay, good. So we have the understanding that it is now becoming difficult for one to understand where are we going as a people and as a country. Uh, Let me see if I can answer it here so others can hear. Pleasant good night to you. Thank you very much for calling the GMS Live Radio Guyana and the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Go right ahead. Okay. Uh-huh. Okay. No, wait, here, before you go on, you got to understand that Casual doesn't have a choice. Remember, he has a job he's being paid to. Uh, there, when he turns up, there is a piece of paper in front of him that he has to follow. You understand? So even if you gotta compliment it, that's his job. You gotta compliment it. You see, this is the only. Let me be straight with you. The only job that the People's Progressive Party will give anybody that is dark and black like me, it's an entertainment job. If I don't have a job like that, well then I have to be a slave master. I have to learn. My job and duty is to make sure I enslave other people like me. That's the only job. Go right ahead, though. But not on. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Thank you very much for calling. Stay safe and be careful. Yeah, yeah. Okay. So this is the problem we're having because the information from credible sources that are coming, you saw it come out live today on social media. It is because people are seeing the disasters that this government is promoting, this de facto illicit terrorist regime is promoting among black people, that they're leaking it out. A simple conversation between four men. One of them is well, he's not the second in charge. He's the fourth person. It's the fifth in charge, which is Mr. Phillips. He's the fifth in charge. But a simple conversation between himself and those other three that are in charge of the COVID task force system, they can't seem to get it right because people are now being infected. People are now being infected. People are turning up with these infectious disease, and their families are being infected. The young ones are being infected. What system do you have in place, Mr. Max Phillips? You want them to meet again to discuss a strategy? Are you serious? And the importance right now, people are being infected and at home by an event that you, Mr. Max Phillips, and the people that sits under you approved and promoted an outright ethnic cleansing. I don't pet it and I don't talk easy on it because that's what it is. Because I want you to understand me carefully. Which group of people you know can turn up by the thousands for going to enjoy a futsal event and a juvort? Seriously, let us. I want those who are looking at this show, who are listening to the GMS Live Voice of Democracy, I want you to tell me plain and straight which group of people you know can turn up at a juvort and a futsal event in Linden at 5,000 plus. Thank you very much for calling the GMS. Thank you very much for calling the GMS Live Radio Guyana and also GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Go ahead. Good night to you. But that's not my case. My case that I'm talking about, and if you listen carefully, I'm not also blaming, I am saying to you that it was the government who promoted it. That is the thing. No, no, no. Hold on. Hold on. No. Fine. Your common sense supposed to step in. But here was the problem. The problem is what Mr. Phillips is saying in this conversation this afternoon, that he's blaming the promoters, the person who promoted the event. Let's hold them accountable. And I'm saying, if you approve the event, and you know by approving this event more than 5,000 people can turn up, who you gonna blame now? You can't control 5,000 people. You can't tell them they can't come in. That's our sickness. So we need. I also identify where we sick at, but I'm saying if we do not put punitive measures in place, we ain't gonna turn up. We need to put punitive measures in place. If you don't do that, black people ain't gonna turn up. You take it from me. Uh, you. Mm, mm. Oh, I think. I think. Hold on, wait. I think I'm not getting you live on the program because nobody's hearing your songs. So you'll have to call back. I'll have to talk through the cell phone. Sorry. Right? Right. So this call me back through the cell phone. Sorry. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Sorry about it. Sorry, I think there's a technical glitch there. I might have to use the cell phone so the person can hear the conversation. But what the person was trying to say that you cannot blame the government official. But I'm saying to you, I got to blame the government official. The government official is responsible for promoting this activity. One gave permission to hold it. Now, in God's name, since you know yourself as Guyanese in this country, Kashif and Shanghai moved from Linden to Georgetown because of the capacity. That's the reason why it came to Georgetown and be held at the stadium, because you had problems when you meet the Linden, you can't get in the ground because there were so many persons. You understand? And then you didn't have the hotel accommodation to accommodate all the people are going to Linden. So they move it from Linden to Georgetown and start holding it at the stadium. Now they carried back to Linden with the understanding that there is a COVID-19 outbreak. And you're telling me that you didn't know these things before you start promoting it? That Charles Ramson didn't know these things until he started commenting and promoting it also too? That's why Kit Nascimento said it was a government event. You gotta hold the government accountable. You approve it. If you didn't approve it, oh, sorry. Good night to you. Hello.
Yes, good night, Dr. Garvey
Yes,
Matthews.
yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, in the early 1800s, I made part of that. The United States government handed some blankets over to the native people of America. And in those blankets had something called chicken pox. And it destroyed the military people of the native of this country. Jack Diodem is using the same method. And Guyanese have to realize that the PPP party always been in war with the black people. They always try to bring them down, destroy them, and kill them eventually. So if nowadays using this virus, the COVID-19, now the strain that comes up from it. Now you of your own self have to use common sense. The government all over the world is telling the people, do not mass gather. Now regardless of who keeping the event, you have to use your common sense and respect yourself and respect your family and those around you and those you get in contact with, not to go to that event. So you of your own self went to the event, nobody put on a cover on you and put a gun behind your head and carry you up the lane there. Now you come back down and infect your neighborhood, your workplace, and now there's a lot of people going to be dying from this. As they say in Guyana, you can't go crowd dance and don't expect to get more. You have to realize that the PPP party is always being a war against the black people. Since Jordan went to India, he come back with the up and drop. It never left them, and it's being taught this from generation to generation to generation. So now they is using the sickness to destroy our people. And if you're going to fall into that trap, it's not really a trap. If you're going to fall into that with your foolishness and your lawless behavior, so be it. So be it. In America here and in Guyana, they all link up through the internet. Everybody know what's going on. Everybody know what's going on. The people always tell you, don't mass gather. If you have a function, not more than, I had a family member die, and the funeral home told us not more than 30 people could come in with 7 feet apart, and the viewing, when you're ready for view the body, is limited to people coming at a time and goes back out.
I understand what
so
you're
even
saying.
those people at the funeral home don't even want mass gathering inside the funeral homes.
I understand what you say. But
those people that went up there, they is responsible for the whole life. They have common sense. You're not using common sense what God give you.
Yeah, but
use your common sense.
I want you to understand what I'm saying. You see what you said? You went to the funeral home. The funeral home said not more than 30 persons. And that was respected. Because you know why? You know why? That is the rule. I am saying to you now, if no approval was given for that function of the Kashif and Shanghai, believe you me, none of them want to turn up there because you know why they're going to say by they a party this year? Is the covert. I am telling you that. You know why I'm telling you that? Let me show you one instance. The Ghana's guy that's promote football in Buxton. They're not giving him permission to host the football, and nobody's turning up to make sure that football is being kept. But they give permission for the football in Linden. And not only in Linden, they give permission that he could hold his juvert the night before at Kashif Mohammed residence in Linden. You understand what I mean? So I'm saying to you, if I know that black people can turn up because they want to entertain themselves, I'm going to prevent them from doing that. Because I ain't gonna sit down and wait for the use the common sense. I know them as the people like party and sport. You think I'm gonna approve something for the go and party and sport and kill yourself? That's what I'm talking about. If you're a government and you know the weakness of the people, you understand, and you're gonna prove something that can strengthen the weakness of the people, that means you intentionally did that so you can have an ethnic cleansing. You get my point?
That's true.
I can't look at it different. I can tell you this. I can tell all me black friends that don't go party in sport, they can still go party in sport. You got to create conditions that they cannot go party in sport.
Okay, it has been intentionally done. But now, what about your reason within yourself and your understanding of what's going on? You have to bring all that into play.
Let me show you something. Let me show you this here. I am not certified in such a way to produce what I've learned or regurgitate. There are so many persons in this country that are well learned more than me that are certified. I went to university, went to a college, and they still do the things that aren't expected of them to do. Muslims, no. Muslims, no. You got to create conditions that they can't turn up to go party, no stupidness, and kill themselves out. You got to create conditions. If you, then you're not a government then. Straight up, if you know that the people are so weak in this area, you have to create conditions that you can strengthen them. You can't create conditions, you can weaken them more and kill them out because that's your intention. You can't tell me it's a mistake.
Dr. Gavin.
Yes.
Dr. Gavin, that is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The PPP party knows what black people are and their behavior. They study them. They know what they like. They know what they like. So they give them what they like.
Yes, they give them what they like.
They give them what they like.
And hold on, wait. They give them what they like, right? And look who's in charge of giving them what they like. A slave.
It always works like that.
Yeah, look who's in charge of giving them what they like. A slave.
Look at South Africa within the apartheid. What they used to sell for is to shoot the black people and arouse them and lock them up. They were multi-black people.
Yeah.
It always worked like that from history.
You use one of your own to inform upon the massive. It always be like that. But I'm very surprised to know that black people in Guyana know the history of the PPP party and still falling into this kind of trap.
Why?
Listen, when I was growing up in Guyana,
We can take another minute though because I see two more calls that
right?
you want to call it. So
When I was growing up in Guyana, I was being told that when those opposite people give you something, it's either two things to eat, either to kill you or it's no good. And when they give them that to eat from the 31st or New Year's or Old Year's into New Year's, is to kill them. So they went up there to the function, and that's what happened. And this is gonna continue spreading. So, Dr. Gavin, you have a good night, and I will continue to support you and be a part of your show.
yes, and thank you
Stay
very much.
strong, stay strong in the grace of God, and keep fighting a good fight.
Yes, you're welcome, and thank you very much.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye. Now, oh my gosh, I gotta take this call. Thank you very much for calling the GMS Live Radio Guyana and the GMS Live Voice of Democracy. Go ahead.
Thanks once again, Gavin. It's me once again. Quickly,
Uh huh.
what you said it right again. Now listen, the Apostle London worked feverishly to warn the people of Linden and to keep the people of Linden lowest infection rate in this whole entire country. And yet, the people of Linden stood by and allowed Kashif and Shanghai, who got the blessings from the government. When you said was the government to be blamed, you're absolutely correct. Because there's no function can go on without, in this pandemic, without the government's blessings or without the government's okay.
Uh huh.
So those who got it saying that well, it's the promoters need to be blamed, it's rubbish. They need to use their common sense. No matter how much subjects you got, as long as you don't got common sense, you don't got no way. It means that the government had to give the blessings before Kashif and Shanghai could have made such an organized such a program to have it done there in Linden. But what I'm saying, Apostle London had tried feverishly to keep the people of Linden safe. And I blame the Lindeners for encouraging Kashif and Shanghai to go into that community to infect them with some kind of blasted football. Mr. Matthews, we are heading in perilous times.
Of course. And the entertainment industry and culture is back again. Remember this how they killed us out between 2000 and 2010. That's how black African Guyanese or black Guyanese were murdered in the street because of the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry could only be controlled three ways: by drugs, which means illegal and illicit activities, guns, crime, and the other one is prostitution. That's how it works. That's how they flourish. People die.
You talk about prostitution. Let me give you a clear example why I saw with my own eyes. I took my family in my vehicle and I carried them and showed them. A couple of weeks ago, I passed on North Road, was just Minister 12, and I showed my wife, you understand, and my family. I said, look, tell me what you see. It's a set of Hispanics off the road of North Road. They're throwing the rear end in front of the middle road in front of your car. You know what's going on there, Mr. Matthews? It's prostitution. Just over the road is a big casino. The police don't even pass there to say, well, look, it's about the time has gone. This place needs to shut down. No activities.
No.
There's a big set going on there.
The curfew put forward the curfew now from 1 to 4 in the morning. Oh, yeah, got the whole night.
Mr. Matthews, it is a blatant disregard and disrespect in our society from this de facto administration. Finally, let me give you an experience that I saw today. I was transporting. I pick up some people today to transport them to a destination. A mother and two kids to two major school, to two primary schools in the city here. Mr. Matthews, when those people enter the vehicle, the woman and her children, all of them were coughing. Bear in mind, I'm not saying that they had a virus or whatever it is, but Mr. Matthews, this indicates to you that those children, the mother was forced by some means to take them to school in that condition because the Minister of Education had absolutely no regard for lives in this country here. So she disregard the cause of the people, especially the union, to heart all because there is an infectious rate that is alarmingly happening in respect to the schools. I think it's Bishop's High School and St. Stanislaus. They have said it clear and indicated to the government that they are not opening their doors to schools for schooling because it is very important to preserve the lives of the future leaders of this country and those children who attended those schools.
Queen's College too. Queen's College did that today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I want to thank you very much for calling. I know we always got with our conversation. We want to let everybody know, but at least I want to right. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Yes.
Thanks once again.
You're welcome. So yes, God bless you too. So okay. Yes. So we're trying to I want people to understand this. That the only way the business community makes money in this country, it's by entertainment. Those who are looking at the Gavin Matthews show, I want you to look primarily right now at this piece of what I'm about to say. It is so necessary enough for you that you must listen to it. If we don't consume the alcohol, banks, DIH and DDL would never make money. If we don't want a new piece of clothing to wear to an event, the Chinese, those who are here from East Asia, or we call them the Indians, and those who are here comforting themselves in the wholesale market of clothing in this country would never make money. The transportation services wouldn't make money. They're heavily invested in these three areas: clothing, alcohol, and transportation. They wouldn't make money. And the entire country shut down because every business that you see is invested into the entertainment industry. Every business that you see. And they will know that you will come to work hard during the week, to go out there at the end of the week and spend your $20,000, $30,000 or $25,000 behind the entertainment industry. They know you will go and buy a case of beer and sit down and drink. They know that you will walk into a store and you will buy some expensive pieces of clothing. They know that you will walk and go and make sure that all your hair and nails are being done at an expensive rate. I am telling you this because I'm seeing it. It stands before me. All the business community and this de facto administration is interested in, it's in the entertainment industry, and they will take your life for it because that is what they can make money off of you. And when they finish making the money off of you, come voting time, you're not around to vote because they've already killed you out. Because when you're done consuming all alcohol, hospital take one, cirrhosis liver, all these things you're troubling from, lung failure, kidney failure, you'll die before you're ready to vote again. And this is how you will go quickly. And if you can't go quickly by it, well then up comes the narco trade. Running around the place and start killing people. Because it's already up and it's running. You know, although there are many instances that comes around that these things can show its ugly head, I want to keep educating you about it. We need to get serious about our lives, Guyanese. There's too many important things that are going on in our countries before our eyes, and we're not paying attention to it. And the People's Progressive Terrorist Party loves that. They love when they can distract you from the important things. And to those who are not distracted, they terrorize like people like me. Because I'm not supposed to talk about it. I'm gaining too much attraction. So they send their slaves out to attack people like me. And when I mean slaves, I mean slaves. When I say slaves, I mean black people who work for them. The People's Progressive Terrorist Party. I mean that. I have no apologies for that. They are slaves. That's what they are. You want me to stop calling you slave? Work for a party that is inclusive of every race in this country. Then I will stop calling you a slave. Work for a party that is inclusive of every race in this country, that is willing to allow someone to have a voice, not only to represent them, but their household and their community. Anytime you're working for Bar Jack, you're working for a slave master. And then you're a slave. See what's going on now? They put the chief house slave for remedy the situation when they don't approve it. That's what I call ethnic cleansing. Intentional ethnic cleansing. Mr. Mark Phillips, you knew that thousands of Guyanese would be up in Linden to participate of the Kashif and Shanghai, because a long time they went on sport. They went locked up for 2 years in the house. You knew that. You're trying to tell me they make preservations for it? You knew that that would be ground zero. But maybe your salary is over too much. It's nice. So you don't got time with people like your slaves. I understand you. It's only slaves operate like that. House slaves, especially those who have managing positions. There's nothing inclusive, there's nothing democratic about the People's Progressive Terrorist Party. It's a party that practices terror and mayhem on its people. You know, there's a lot of things that are being said, but there are things that we need to take cognizance of. We gotta want to stop being entertained as a people. And this is where most people turn away because they don't like to hear when Gavin Matthews speak of it. And I'll be blunt. I'm not a politician. I'm gonna address the part just now. I am going to be blunt. I prefer educate a nation than entertain a nation. I prefer to be an educator than an entertainer. Because when I entertain you, You have no hopes of tomorrow. How can you have hope being under the influence of a spiritual remedy or a spiritual substance like alcohol? They call it high spirits. How can you wake up to hope when you're under the influence of alcohol or whether you still bruise? You cannot find your footings to where you are. You can't even go to the job that gives you your salary. You got to report sick. How could you be properly educated when most of us are constantly in the medical industry, going to the hospitals, spending our bottom dollars to the medical industry, who's attracting most of it? Let me take this other call. Just hold a minute. Thank you very much for calling the
Yes, Gavin.
GMS Live, Voice of Democracy, and GMS
But
Live Radio Guyana. Go
yes,
ahead.
Gavin. Sorry to interrupt you again, but just one quick point.
Go ahead.
Who gave the green light for the wet fed party or the cooler fed party?
It's one place.
Right. So it's very alarming to hear the prime minister, this de facto government, going out with a set of talking a set of foolishness. That's my contribution, Gavin.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Is one person give the permission for the wet fet or the cooler fet party? Is the COVID, where's call him again? Wherever. I don't forget it already because when I passionate, I know like somehow or the other, I can't really remember these things. They grant permission for all these things to happen. They knew that there are going to be large turnouts. They knew that. Here, people got to realize nothing that the PPP does shall surprise you. It is always preemptively done. They make decisions far before us. They knew where to put what minister where and when. Let me show you, for instance, now. They approved the Kashif and Shanghai. They knew that there will be an outbreak. They knew that there will be an outbreak in the Omicron, what you call an increase of that mutated virus. And they knew that teachers wasn't going to go to work today, so they put the minister, the de facto minister of labor, to tell teachers if you can't turn up with the Omicron to infect people, children, we're going to take money out of your salary. You're going to be paid for the day that you ain't turn up to work. You could imagine that. Let's get straight. Don't let me hide this thing no more. The de facto minister of labor said to the teachers who are infected, because they know that they will be infected, when they come down the next day to teacher, they won't turn up and the teachers union would react because of the spike in cases, that the teachers still got to come to work so you can infect black people children some more, so they can carry it home and give the parents, so you're going to dead out fast. Man, you see, I don't know how do we think as a people. We think that somehow or the other. When I had a conversation today with one person, you can tell he only concentrate upon his household, his family, but everybody around him is not for him. Here is the problem. We fail to understand that it takes a man and a woman to make a child, but it takes a community to rear that child. And if the community leaders are people that are proprietors of night spots where you can go and get drunk and sit down and can't get up, and tomorrow you wake up, you don't know where you are, you don't know what happened to you. Those are the community leaders. You understand? And those are the people that that we call role models. Like we ain't got no other community leader. Huh? Is this is what we have to work with? As a people, we gotta get serious. We gotta educate ourselves. Oh man. We gotta go the extra mile. We gotta see what is important. You can imagine you telling an infected teacher to come to work, go to school, and to try to educate our children under such drastic measures that are going to infect our children. That when they go home, they infect mommy and daddy, and if they got five, six sisters and brothers, it's the whole household. Then it will pass down from household to household, and that virus will keep mutating all the time. This is a very serious matter at hand here in our country. It's an intentional ethnic cleansing. Do you know why? Because Guyana now becomes a multi-billion-dollar empire. A multi-billion dollars empire Guyana becomes. Let me show you another instance. South Sudan, it's a $15 billion US a year economy. South Sudan. And it's one of the most impoverished nations because its people are being lied to, are being robbed, are being fooled, and corruption is so great. Are we serious? Let's get serious. Do you know why this is happening to us in this country? Because there is so many things at stake that the people who has for greed prefer to murder a nation. That's the People's Progressive Party. They have done it once and they will do it again. Do we have to wait for that to happen again? Do we actually have to wait for that to happen again? The person who has to answer for those things calls himself the vice president of this country. Oh man, come on, please. You're trying to tell me you're going to trust that once partook with his friends and colleagues to have an ethnic cleansing in this country for me to say that I trust him again? Let me tell you how dangerous is this man that you call Bar Jagdeo. Jim Jones was responsible for 980 American deaths. Well, some Guyanese were involved, were part of those deaths. Jonestown, you can remember Jonestown? 980 people died. They drank the Kool-Aid, the cyanide. The Kool-Aid is still the cyanide. Because that's what Kool-Aid does to you when you drink it, when you buy it from the store. It eats out your digestive system because of the chemicals that are in it. $980 deaths plus himself because he died. Jack Joe is responsible for 1,480. Look at the difference. And you're going to tell me that you trust an ethnic cleanser like that man to tell me that he is a changed person? Well, we can see now he's not changed. What else do we need to see? What else, people, Do we need to see to be convinced we need another 1,480 deaths? Do we need another? That's what you're looking for you to be convinced? Somehow or the other, we prefer that we become enslaved like you, or we become battered like you, and we can't function. You know, we in jail, we locked up for you to stand up and say, well, oh gosh, this man representing we. Are you serious? That is the kind of Guyana that we're looking for. We got to be joking. Seriously. We cannot be taken for fools more than one time. We got to be serious. You know, I want to say to you tonight, since that we're on this live and on the radio, online radio, I want to say to you tonight that I, Gavin Matthews, prefer to run as a statesman for the Guyana. I wanted to say that a little long time now. But you know why I decided to do that? Because I'm just like you guys. I'm looking for a leader, but then the only best thing for me to do is lead. I'm throwing my hat into the ring. Not in the ring as the ring, but you know, I'm throwing my hat in that circle because I want to see all Guyanese, profit from this country, whether you're ethnic background. I want to see you profit. So I want to run as a statesman. I want to be able to represent Guyanese, especially black Guyanese. I'm not making any comments about it. Some people say that I'm racist, but I'm not. We are being oppressed far too long. When I look at myself, I remember Desmond Tutu, the Archbishop that died, the South African Archbishop that died. He was a staunch person against the apartheid system of South Africa. And he died doing that. He died representing people, especially people of his own ethnic origin. And that is something I would want to embrace because he is one of my role models. Himself, Mr. Nelson Mandela, Mr. Malcolm X, Mr. Forbes Burnham. You know, these are people that I look at and see that what is my next move. There are a few other persons too, you know. There are a few other persons too that I look at and I use as my role model. I'm going to say this to all Guyanese that are looking. Becoming a statesman is something of my own choice. I don't want to represent a party, I want to represent a country and a people. That is my intention. What is my next moves? It is by the grace of this Almighty Supreme Creator that will guide me. I want to say to you, I appreciate the time that you spent tonight being a part of this program, being a part of this live stream and sharing the live. Not only sharing the live, but listening to me on the GMS Live Radio Guyana. I want to let you know that I'm very much happy and proud. And this is something that I will enjoy doing till my last breath. Stay safe, be careful, sanitize yourself, wear a mask. Don't forget the little ones you take into public places. This is Dr. Matthews saying good night. Cheerios for now. Oh, for those who want to make contact with me, can still get me on the 611 6575 number, but please do it by WhatsApp. Thank you very much.